Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the cafe. I hope everyone is nice and warm and toasty, seeing as how it is absolutely dreary outside. So grab a cup of coffee. We're going to be doing something a little different today. While I was editing a video yesterday, I fell down a rabbit hole, and I am, well, enjoying the rabbit hole. I don't know if any of you know what urban exploration is. It is essentially when people go and explore abandoned buildings. And I literally spent 3 hours yesterday watching videos on this. Most of it is pretty cool, but I found the spooky stuff to be the most entertaining because 9 times out of 10, it wouldn't be so spooky if you use common sense. Like, not going by yourself or bringing a gun. Then again, not all this takes place in the United States or the South. But either way, let's go and watch some spooky videos. That's not my person. Alrighty, as you can see, I have it pulled up. This channel, Chilling Stories, has some of the best. Get rid of this one. Alright, here we go. Now, I haven't watched this.
Urbex Hill is one of the most popular urban exploration channels on YouTube, featuring raw footage from YouTuber Chris Hill's visits to a lot of the more extreme abandoned buildings in the US. From abandoned mental hospitals to decommissioned military facilities, Chris explores all of it, but specifically places that a lot of even the more extreme explorers wouldn't visit, at least not at night and alone like Chris always does. In January 2023, he uploaded footage of his visit to the now abandoned Paul Revere Elementary School in Cleveland. After almost a century of use, the school was permanently closed in 2015 due to declining enrollment numbers. Although there are allegedly plans to turn the abandoned building into a housing complex, as of 2024, Paul Revere Elementary is still abandoned and in terrible shape. From the moment Chris walks inside, it's pretty clear that the place hasn't been used in years, and it's been damaged by the elements, vandals, and the passage of time. The bottom floors are all flooded, the walls are peeling, the structure doesn't seem too sound, and there's rust, random papers, books, and all kinds of debris.
Now, don't get me wrong, this is actually really cool, but like I said, they're always by themselves, and there has to be safety hazards. Don't you scout these places out? I mean, I don't know.
Lying everywhere. Throughout the video, you can see messages written in seemingly fresh chalk on some of the whiteboards, confirming that people have been in the building recently. This was actually Chris's second visit to Paul Revere Elementary. When he uploaded footage of his March 2022 visit to the school, several people in the comments mentioned they'd either been students or teachers at the school and talked about how incredibly sad it was to see their beloved childhood school ruined by abandonment and lack of maintenance. A little after 10 minutes into the exploration, you can hear some sort of ruffling sounds and other strange noises coming from somewhere in the schoolhouse.
And
what is that?
Probably a homeless person.
Do you hear
that? Ooh, that was a pretty bright flashlight.
Somebody's here. As Chris turns a corner in the hallway, another person's flashlight can be seen shining down the hall. It looks to be just one person, who was likely either another urban explorer or a squatter. Still, at 1 a.m. in an abandoned building, it's obviously best to avoid drawing unwanted attention to yourself, especially when you don't know the other person's intentions, which is why Chris ultimately decided to run instead of making his presence known.
That's another thing I've noticed with these videos, is this guy, this Chris guy, it makes the right decision. Because I've watched a few of these videos where these guys will, see, someone in the building or hear stuff, and they will go and, try to, confront the person or whatever and be like, hello, are you there? I come in peace. Do you need any? No, because you don't know who that is. A lot of the abandoned buildings where I live, a lot of homeless people live, live in them. But not only that, in some areas, there's gang activity in these buildings. They use these buildings as a drug den or something along those natures. Why? Why would you go in there? One, by yourself, and two, why would you talk to people? Again, this guy is smart to turn off his light right away and then run away. But there's so many videos of these guys just basically being like, hey, is anyone there? Come. It's like, can we talk? Can we be friends? No, you don't want to be their friend. They probably don't want to be your friend.
Making sure to walk in the other direction to avoid running into anyone, he then heads to the library and explores the rest of the top floors. As he goes into the bathroom on the top floor, he has another encounter.
There's always something in the bathroom. Oh my god.
Somebody's in there.
There's just... So, was it someone if they heard him? They might be just trying to scare him away.
At the far end of the bathroom, what appears to be a human silhouette can be seen standing completely motionless. After the initial shock of the encounter, Chris draws his gun and goes back inside to confront him.
Oh, I like this guy.
Hello.
Is he can't?
Oh, it's a toy.
So they probably set it up. They probably set that mannequin up where there's homeless people or something like that to scare off people.
As it turns out, the silhouette was actually a scary mannequin that somebody set up, probably to scare away visitors. What's most eerie is that even though we can't know for sure how long the mannequin had been standing there before the footage was shot, for some reason it fell forward just in time for Chris to see it. The most reasonable explanation being the sound waves bouncing off the wall. Most people would have left as soon as they saw the mannequin, but Chris continued to explore the rest of the school, seemingly unmoved by the horrifying experience he just went through.
Oh my god, look at that! That doesn't look like a normal mannequin. God, that's so freaky looking.
Not before clearing the entire rest of the bathroom. Sadly, some of the rooms in the school are filled with books, whiteboards, and other perfectly usable materials that could have been donated to another school before the building was abandoned. But nobody seemed to care enough to give them away before the school was abandoned. About half an hour into the visit, Chris climbed up to the roof, which in itself is pretty risky. Even if you don't care about getting caught by the cops, there's still a very high risk of the roof caving in, especially considering the state of the building when the footage was shot.
Yeah,
fortunately, he was able to climb down safely, but that's when strange noise could be heard coming from the other end of one of the hallways. Safe is still here. What was in it?
That's a dog.
As Chris explores one of the rooms, a strange howl can be heard in the distance.
That's probably
and
a
as he
strange
raises his camera, you can clearly see a shadow moving behind the door at the far end of the room.
Oh, never mind,
At
that's
this
a
point,
person.
it's pretty clear that not only are multiple other people in the building, but now he's possibly being stalked. Once again, Chris draws his gun and prepares for an encounter, but he doesn't find anyone in any of the rooms. After this, he admits he's ready to call it a night and decides to head home, but not before this final encounter.
This place is weird as hell. Oh, here it is.
Ooh.
This place is crazy.
Did you see that?
I remember the last time I explored it. Hello?
No. Just run. No, don't go upstairs. Why would you do this?
Hello? What? Okay, I know I heard somebody coming down these stairs.
Yeah, and then they heard you.
As he struggles to find his way out of the school, the sound of footsteps can be clearly heard on the stairway directly above Chris's head, but after running up and calling out to see if he gets a response, nobody acknowledges him. Luckily, he was able to walk away unharmed, and has continued to upload videos of his visits to abandoned places pretty
Okay, so like I was one of those people that were like, no, like people wouldn't react like this in horror movies. There's no way someone would react like this. Our instincts or whatever would kick in and fight or flight or something. After watching a lot of these, I really do think that it is the way people act in horror movies is incredibly realistic. Because people would just straight up go up to spooky stuff and just be like, hello, is anyone there? And it's like you hear gunshots and they're like, I should go check that out. No, you shouldn't. No, absolutely not. Ugh.
frequently.
Alright, what's next?
The Proper People is an urban exploration channel owned by Brian and Michael, two friends who travel the world in search of abandoned buildings. For the past 10 years that their channel has been active, Brian and Michael have built up a reputation for being a trustworthy channel that only uploads genuine footage of their explorations. In a niche of YouTube that's often plagued by cheap, fake footage from people trying to get their 15 minutes of fame,
no,
The Proper People has endured as one of the most reliable channels in the urbex space. They gained their fame from explorations of genuinely cool places instead of faking creepy encounters or anything of the such. In 2016, they uploaded a video of their nighttime visit to the Jemison Center in Northport, Alabama, often referred to as Old Bryce Hospital. From 1939 to 1977, the Jemison Center housed hundreds of psychiatric patients and acquired a reputation for treating them pretty harshly. Building in Alabama, Old Bryce was closed in the late 70s and has since been reclaimed by nature and become a hotspot for urban explorers from all over the world.
It's kind of
Michael
pretty,
and Brian approached the
like
location
watching
in their
nature
car, there doesn't seem
recreate
to be
many
anyone
structures.
around. And after driving around the grounds for a while, the two YouTubers get out of their vehicles to begin exploring.
That's another thing.
Is the first area to explore.
I don't understand why
After
people
more
drive
than
their
3
cars
decades
like
of
right
abandonment,
up
the
there.
entire
Maybe
complex
it's safe
is
to
almost
think
completely destroyed, and while some of the walls are completely covered in all kinds of graffiti, some of them aren't even there anymore. With the state of disrepair of the Jemison Center, there's always a chance that the structure could collapse on itself and trap Brian and Michael inside. But as they go up the stairs to explore
Yes,
the top
and
floor,
hello,
it becomes clear that
welcome.
an unsound structure is the least of their worries.
Like I normally don't, like, I don't like scary movies, but I like videos like this. I like spooky stuff. I don't like scary stuff.
There's somebody there.
Oh yeah.
Yes, see that light? They're out there. I swear on my life. Right there.
Let's see if they show it again.
Should I say hello?
No, don't say hello.
There's somebody out there. Let's go back to the car. Oh, there's somebody there.
Yeah, I saw it right there. They turned their light off.
They're out there. I swear on my life.
Yeah, I'm not a big scary movie kind of person, but like for some reason I love like these like horror stuff, like this
Should I
like,
say hello?
found footage stuff like this. No, don't say hello.
Somebody out there. Let's go back to the car. This way. Did somebody want to talk to us?
No.
What? Oh,
As the camera pans to the window, the outline of a person holding up a light can be
Oh,
seen
yeah,
on the
see?
staircase
Right
on the
here.
opposite side of the building.
Right
Disturbingly,
there.
as soon as the uploaders turn off their light, the other person does the exact same thing, indicating they were watching and didn't want to be spotted. Chillingly, if you rewind the footage to when the YouTubers arrived at the top floor, you can clearly see a light outside the window frame, but it's unclear if the light was coming from the same person who was watching them. After calling out and receiving no response, Brian and Michael decide to go back to their car to avoid getting jumped or worse. It's hard to know what exactly the intentions of the other person were, but what's even more disturbing is the fact that there were no other cars in the area when they arrived and when they left, which means that whoever was there had arrived on foot and probably been there for a while.
Because that's something too, is that a
Ridgely
lot of
Hospital
them
was a woman's
a lot of them will like park like far away from the spot they're going to explore. One, as a so the car doesn't get broken into, and two, so like they don't get arrested. So the fact that these guys just drove right up to it means that there's probably not a whole lot of security. So there's probably a lot of homeless people, or in drug addicts and stuff like that there, which makes it even more dangerous.
Psychiatric hospital in Lancaster, UK, that operated for almost 100 years, from 1916 to 2013. Famous for being one of the first psychiatric hospitals in the UK that fought for the human treatment of mentally ill patients, Ridgely Hospital housed thousands of patients and used modern treatment methods such as electroconvulsion therapy to help patients with a range of disorders, from severe depression to obsession to mania. In April 2022, a YouTuber exploring with Tom visited the site with 3 of his friends in the middle of the night.
That's
Throughout their
smart.
visit, they were extremely loud and not aware of their surroundings, which is
Oh, so they
obviously
were
not the best
jerks.
idea when exploring an abandoned building. Keep in mind that most of these abandoned buildings are still considered government property, which makes it illegal to trespass and explore the grounds. Still, if you disturb a hostile squatter's home by being obnoxiously loud, getting arrested would probably be the least of your worries.
So they're over here being jerks, and then like if you're going and walking around, yeah, that's okay, that's fine. I'm sure the squatters will be like, okay, let's just stay out of this person's way, maybe scare them a little bit. These guys are actually like, oh, let's make a bunch of noise, let's be foolish, let's antagonize people. So it's like, why would you do that? Why? Who does this benefit?
After hearing some strange noises coming from one of the rooms, the 4 explorers call out to see if there's anyone in the building, and this is where things get a little disturbing.
Hello? What?
Oh! Someone just like peek their head out.
Okay, keep on. Come on. What the?
Wait, is the person chasing them? Or is that one of their friends?
What do you want?
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
As soon as one of the teenagers calls out, a man can be heard screaming from inside the room. Without thinking twice, Tom and his friends make a run for it back to their car, but disturbingly, the man isn't satisfied with just scaring them out of the building and ends up chasing them all the way to their car.
So
it's unknown who the man was or what he wanted from them, but one of the theories that's been echoing in the comments is that he was probably a homeless person who got upset at the amount of noise Tom and his friends were making. It's probably not too pleasant to have 4 rowdy teenagers burst into the abandoned
and he's
building
sitting there chasing them.
and start yelling, laughing, and swearing. But still, it's good they were able to get away unharmed. Officer named Vincent Filia spent the rest of his life in prison, where he died in 2021 in his cell.
Awesome.
In December 2023, a YouTuber named Big Banks visited the abandoned hideout where the terrifying crime took place.
Oh,
Immediately
see, I was
upon
wondering
entering
where
the
this
house,
would
the
lead to
uploader
it.
finds something extremely disturbing.
I think this was the little girl's backpack that
That's
was left here. What a
more
sad
than
sight
likely
to
that's
see.
not. Because
Knowing
that looks
that
brand
happened.
new.
A little girl's backpack can be seen on the floor outside the kitchen. Although it's impossible to confirm if it belonged to Elizabeth Shove, it is possible that it was planted there after the crime by somebody else. As he explores the living room, the uploader finds
Oh,
more creepy
wow.
stuff, including a
just looks-
DVD of the horror movie The Strangers, a Halloween decoration next to one of the couches, a shank, a broken baseball bat, and a ripstick.
Why
Obviously,
include a
the fact that these
ripstick?
items were left behind is much more disturbing when you consider the history of the house.
I love how the narrator's just like, he found a shank, a gun, a bomb, a broken baseball bat, and a ripstick. Like the ripstick is a deadly weapon as well.
It's
I guess it
heartbreaking
could
to
be. It's
imagine
heavy.
that some of the toys lying around the floor possibly belonged to the girl that Vincent Filia had stolen.
I doubt it.
Throughout the rest of the house, several objects and pieces of furniture, including the bed in the main room, look like they were placed there much later than 2006. It's possible that the house was occupied by squatters, but because it was empty at the time the footage was shot, it's impossible to know what belonged to Filia, his common-law family, his victim, and the squatters.
More than likely it's
Thankfully,
squatters.
after being
if
reunited with
that
her
bed
family in
looks,
2006,
like, just made.
Elizabeth went on to live a fruitful life, and the man who committed the heinous crime against her paid the price for it.
Good. You deserved it.
Holton Avenue is a notoriously creepy abandoned street in Cleveland, Ohio. In 1913, the first Hungarian Baptist church was built on that street, eventually falling into disuse and being left abandoned like the rest of the buildings on that street. In April 2016, the body of a woman named Jessica Coleman was found there after she went missing, but unfortunately her attacker was never found. In July 2023, Chris Hill went to the location to record footage of the abandoned church, as well as the rest of the buildings on Holton Avenue. From disturbing graffiti to broken glass and peeling walls, the church checks every box you would expect from a creepy, abandoned building. As he ventures into the basement, Chris finds signs that someone else has been inside the church, including an action...
Like, whenever churches are abandoned, I find it so much more creepy, just because, like, a lot of the times it looks like... Is that the giraffe from, what is that? The movie with the lion and the penguins. Oh my god. But no, because, like, it feels like it shouldn't. You know what I mean? It feels like a church should not ever be abandoned. But that's, I guess, what makes it so creepy. Because, like, I don't know, it feels like people should be in it. Like, it should be taken care of.
Figure of Melvin the giraffe from Madagascar. He mentions he doesn't remember seeing the last time he visited the location. Knowing that he's often not alone during his explorations, Chris set up several cameras throughout the church.
That's
about
smart.
10 minutes into the exploration, one of the cameras on the main floor captures something pretty creepy.
That's weird.
Ooh.
What's upstairs?
And you in the basement.
Obviously, doors don't just randomly shut themselves, and as it wasn't particularly windy that night, it's clear that someone was in the church with Chris. But after looking around for a bit, he can't find anyone in the church and decides to head back outside to explore the rest of the buildings on Holton Avenue. If the church was in a messed up state, some of the houses are even worse, with most of them looking like they could collapse at any second. Around half an hour into the visit, he decides to explore one of the most dilapidated houses on the block, and as he's in the basement, the exploration takes a scary turn.
Actually, looks like it's just underneath
Why,
the house.
hello!
Not in the basement. Still creepy.
Oh! Oh, I guess someone's in there with him. Oh, that's a curtain. Is he gonna, like, walk up and, like, pull it up? Oh my gosh!
Sorry.
At least he's polite. At least he was polite about it.
It smelled like I knew somebody was in there.
As he's exploring the basement, a sound can be heard coming from the ground floor, and when he goes back up to find out what it is, a person pulls back the curtain. Immediately apologizing, Chris runs back out to the street, and that's when he realizes that despite the horrible state of the supposedly abandoned house, there was actually someone living in there with electricity. Clearly most, if not all of the abandoned buildings on the block were housing people now who didn't want him there, something he never encountered on his first visit.
Wait, so he pulled back the curtain earlier in the visit, so someone might have actually been sleeping there and he just didn't notice them. That's spooky. Like that's really scary.
And with this newfound discovery, Chris called it a night.
I would call it a night too.
In February 2020, urban explorer Ridham Ryder explored an abandoned house at an undisclosed location with his exploration partner Zay Clark. According to Ridham, the house used to belong to an old woman who had passed away.
Aww.
In complete contrast to most abandoned houses, most of the woman's possessions had been left untouched, indicating that the house had not yet fallen prey to looters and squatters who often take things that aren't theirs.
Yeah,
All
a lot of
the
times,
house, the two explorers find everything from beautiful tableware and silverware to ornately woven.
I discovered these videos while editing. Like I've always liked like the spookier videos, but like the real like urban exploration ones, like the spooky ones. Like I discovered that like yesterday. I went down a rabbit hole.
Tapestries and a fully equipped bar.
Oh wow!
Based on the calendars they found in the house, the property hadn't been occupied since August 2018. Just a few minutes into the visit, Ridham and Zay find
that's
something
a lot of liquor.
sad
that's some
disturbing.
good liquor too.
I've always been worried about something like this happening, and then it did. When we walked in here,
oh god!
We took a few steps in the door, and we saw this on the ground.
Agreed. Be gone, bot. So this is a. Oh my god! That's a body outline. Oh my god. Oh, that makes this horrible because that means that old woman fell and she decomposed to the point where she left an outline. Oh my god. That's horrific to think about.
For those who can't figure that figure out what that is a body stain.
Yeah.
And you can see right there there's a walker.
And there's the water. Oh
so,
my god.
Unfortunately, it seems that the woman who had lived here had taken a bad fall.
Just couldn't get up. Oh my gosh.
And that's where she expired, unfortunately.
Well,
it's extremely, extremely sad to us.
It is.
It took us a good 20 minutes to decide what we're going to do
now,
here. And, despite it feeling weird, we figured we still need to tell the story because this is a good reminder to everybody that you need to check on your loved ones.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
This woman had passed and was laying here for God knows how long before she was found. So check in on your loved ones, guys.
Is he going to step over it?
He's
just going to step over it and just continue exploring. That's so disrespectful. Like, the moment I saw that, I would have been like, no, it's time to go. Because that's just too much. That's just too much. But even still, like, the thought process that you think of, it's incredibly sad what that woman went through. Because you don't, like, when someone falls, you don't just, like, the elderly you just don't die right away, obviously. But depending on it, you could either die if you rely on medication, or, die of starvation or dehydration or something like that. It's not a quick death. And that's why, people say, like, that's why the whole life alert thing, and, we make fun of the help, I've fallen and I can't get up. But that's a very real thing and a very real danger to, elderly people. And it's like, that's why I call my grandmother every day to make sure that she's okay. And a lot of the times, if an elderly person doesn't, a lot of elderly people don't want to bother anyone. And you kind of got to bother them. That's how it is sometimes.
Stain can be seen on the floor next to a walker,
now you
indicating that the old woman probably had a bad fall and couldn't get up.
And then him
Sadly,
just stepping over
she
it is
passed
very
away, and her body decomposed before anyone could save her, which is a terrifying way to die. There appear to be signs that the woman's family members tried to sort through her things after she passed away, but overall, her various belongings are in perfectly good shape, including her bathroom supplies, which were still there at the time of the recording. It's hard to watch the footage without having conflicting feelings. Even though the house is beautiful and you can easily tell that the woman who lived there with her husband was a talented, outgoing person, it's incredibly sad to see how she met her end. Overall, the footage should serve as a reminder to check in on your loved ones every time you get the chance, because nobody deserves to pass away like that.
No, it's a horrific thing.
Ridham with Ryder hasn't gone back to that location.
As he should. Here we go. Here's another one. Disturbing abandoned building caught on camera.
Christopher Brian Hill is an urban explorer with a YouTube channel called Urbex Hill.
Yeah, we watched
Over the
him
past
earlier.
10 years, he's been uploading raw footage of his
of them.
visits to some of the creepiest abandoned buildings in the country.
Is this the same
often
video?
running into unexpected and sometimes life-threatening situations. Urban
I don't think
explorers
it
like
is.
Chris face many dangers. From aggressive stray dogs to hostile squatters to venturing into an unfamiliar abandoned building is much more risky than it might sound. It's obviously much safer to explore abandoned buildings in the light of day and with a group of friends, but in most of his videos, Chris explores at night and always alone. In June 2022, he visited the abandoned Westinghouse Electric Factory located in Cleveland, Ohio.
It is
More than
wild.
a century ago, the factory originally consisted of 7 different buildings, but most of them have been demolished by now. Even though the Westinghouse Company was established in 1886, it didn't reach Cleveland until 1894. Founded by Thomas Edison, Westinghouse is best known for the notable engineers who worked for the company, including Nikola Tesla and William Stanley.
So
For
probably
several
stole
decades,
stuff
the
from.
Westinghouse Company rivaled General Electric, and it was last used as a lighting equipment production plant before its abandonment in 1979. For the past 4.5 decades, the abandoned factory has been one of the hottest urban exploration locations for curious explorers and YouTubers. In 2012, the factory started receiving even more attention after the Black Widow interrogation scene from the first movie of the Avengers was shot there.
Ooh.
10 years later, Chris made the trip to the abandoned
Ooh, I
factory
love that
and recorded everything he saw. As Chris begins exploring, there doesn't seem to be anyone around, and only the sound of crickets can be heard in the darkness as he walks around the outside of the building. Disturbingly, the sound of gunshots can be heard in the distance less than 5 minutes into the recording. It's worth mentioning that for the past few years, Cleveland has been ranked as one of the top 10 most dangerous cities in the US, making this visit to the abandoned factory even
I
more
live
risky.
technically in one of the most dangerous cities too.
I hear somebody shooting.
Well, not anymore.
That's Cleveland.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a shootout.
It's not even that far away from here.
I love how calm he is. How he's just like, oh yeah, that's
nobody's shootout.
that's Cleveland. It's like
Chris
it's
has
just
experience exploring
gunfire.
everything from abandoned mental hospitals and sanatoriums to vacant occult temples, and he shrugs off the fear as he enters the creepy building. Just like in many abandoned buildings, Chris finds a mattress on the floor, meaning at least one person has been sleeping there recently. As he captures footage of the first floor and walks up the stairs to the second floor, all that can be heard in the eerie darkness is the sound of his footsteps. A
It's
few minutes
even-
later, Chris goes down to the basement, and the
It's
footage
even
becomes
spookier 'cause it's
increasingly
all
creepier as
open.
Chris runs into a series of dead ends under the leaky, moldy ceiling.
That's not safe. Like it's like sanitation wise, mold can mess you up. Like really bad.
There's animals down here.
And like
At several points
still,
during his exploration,
and that's another thing too, is still water is incredibly dangerous as well. It's a breeding ground for bacteria.
of the basement, he can be heard making comments about a strange noise coming from somewhere on that floor, and at first he seems to think it's an animal. Alarmingly, he finds a few shell casings on the ground from what was probably a 9mm handgun. Although it would be pretty unsettling to find
Yeah,
something like
that
this
is
lying on the
9mm.
ground in an abandoned factory basement,
I
it's
think.
worth mentioning that police departments often use abandoned
Excuse me.
buildings and complexes for training exercises.
Yeah, but they always
However,
pick up
in
the
this
shell
case,
casings.
It's impossible to know if that's really what happened. Shortly after, he comes across
I
a
tried
series
my
of
best.
disturbing messages on the walls. He continues
in his
recording as he
house.
walks down narrow corridors, and this is where things get a lot more disturbing.
That's spooky.
This place is so wet. You scared the out of me.
Oh, that's a tweaker. No, don't talk to him.
You need some help, bro?
No, dude.
Yo. He's not even responding. I'm leaving.
Don't turn your back.
Get the f- out of his way.
If you tweakers are like animals. You can't turn your back on them.
Bro, that's crazy.
I'm like not even like
After
joking.
about
Like
20
it's
minutes
very
of
dangerous.
exploring,
Keeping
the visit
like you
takes
gotta
a
keep
very
these
dark
kind of
turn
people
as
like
Chris
in
runs
your
into a
sight.
hunched-over man without a light at the far end of the room. He calls out to him and asks if he needs any help, but the man doesn't move or respond, and Chris decides to leave him alone. Understandably, Chris's breathing can be heard getting louder and heavier after the extremely unsettling encounter, but things were only about to get more disturbing for him.
Yeah, the fact that he's
I'm gonna
not.
I'm gonna help that dude out.
No.
I'm gonna get this dude a $20 bill.
Why?
Yo,
You just essentially told this dude you have money.
hey, I got some money for you.
No.
He's not responding.
Why?
About 4 minutes later, Chris decides to go back to help the man out by giving him a $20 bill. But alarmingly, when he goes back to the room, the man is no longer there. This could be incredibly dangerous, as squatters are known to behave aggressively toward unwanted visitors. And because they know the place better than anyone else, they can easily hide in the shadows and attack or scare visitors when they least expect it. One theory that many viewers seem to favor was that maybe the man was not a homeless person at all, but a gang member who was hiding from the shootout that could be heard at the beginning of the video.
No, he was
However,
probably
it's impossible
tweaker.
to confirm if this was actually the case, and it seems
And
pretty
then he
unlikely
walks
given his
like
strange
right
behavior.
where this dude was, where
As he
there's
continues
obviously a
searching
place
for
for
the
him to
man,
escape.
Chris notices bats flying around the basement, and things get even more eerie at this point.
Yeah, you shouldn't really. If there's an area with bats, you really shouldn't
There's a
be
lot
there.
of bats down here too.
That's how you get rabies.
Right when he walks into one of the rooms, if you look closely at the far left of the screen, you can actually see the man from earlier standing in what used to be a door
Right
frame, staring at Chris in
there.
the
See? Oh my gosh.
darkness. Alarmingly, Chris doesn't notice and continues walking. It's impossible to know how long the man had been following him, and in these kind of situations, it can be hard to gauge the squatter's intentions.
He's just,
A few
just
minutes later, the
there,
squatter can be seen
staring
walking
at
outside
him.
as cars pass by the side of the building.
Yeah.
At one point, Chris mentions he thinks the guy said hello, but it can't be heard clearly through the camera audio.
Yeah, he's stalking
Just
him.
when he decides to head out, he hears a cell phone vibrate, indicating that there are more people down there with him hiding in the darkness.
It's probably
Having
a
had enough
campsite
disturbing
for him.
encounters for the night, he decides to play it safe, and fortunately, he was able to leave the building unharmed. He never found out who that man was, and since then, he hasn't uploaded another video of the Westinghouse factory.
I wouldn't go there either.
This video was recorded in Tartu, Estonia, and uploaded to YouTube in August of 2016. In it, a group of 4 teenagers visit an abandoned sauna that was built more than a century ago in 1915, back when Estonia was still part of the Russian Empire. After fulfilling its purpose for 80 years, the sauna was decommissioned in 1995. The building remained abandoned for 23 years until in 2018 it was fully renovated and turned into a beauty salon, which is still operating as of this video's upload in 2023. In August of 2016, the uploader visited the abandoned location with 3 friends.
There's some more bats.
Upon entering the building, you can see that it looks exactly what you would expect a building that has been abandoned for 21 years to look like.
Quick note, quick educational note. If you find a bat in your house and you were sleeping, go get a rabies shot, because bats are the #1 carrier of rabies. And their bites are so painless and so small, you won't notice it. So if you ever find a bat in your house and you you need to go to the doctors and stuff like that. I learned that because a friend of mine became a wildlife agent, and they found a bat in their bunkhouse, and they all had to get rabies shots. Rabies shots are not comfortable, or as far as I know, they're not comfortable. So yeah, just a piece of information.
There's an insane amount of mold growing freely on the walls, the heaters are covered in a thick layer of rust, the floor is full of holes, and the entire structure looks like it could collapse at any second. Throughout the video, the teenage explorers also run into some disturbing messages on the walls. An especially eerie one reads, "You can't hide," and there are also several creepy drawings of stick figures graffitied on the walls in some of the other rooms. For the first few minutes of the visit, other than the disturbing messages and some loose shoes and other personal belongings, there doesn't seem to be any indication that somebody could be living there or had even visited the location recently. However, about 20 minutes into the visit, one of the teenagers finds a door frame covered by a curtain, and they decide to explore the room.
Oh no. They're gonna go in. They're gonna go in it. Oh shit. At least their first instinct is just to run away.
As one of the explorers shines a flashlight into the room, a gut-wrenching scream can be heard coming from the shadows. Immediately, the 4 teenagers run out of the building in a panic. When they finally step outside, the sun is already set, and the boys get into the car to flee from the location. Although the explorer was too busy running to show footage of the screaming man, it's more than likely that it was a homeless resident of the abandoned building who wasn't expecting visitors.
Yeah.
Still, it must have been extremely disturbing to experience something like that, even if they went together as a group. After that day in 2016, the boys never went back to the abandoned sauna again. In March of 2022, YouTubers Meg and Chris uploaded a new video to their channel, Back in Time MC.
They found him dead in an abandoned building.
And abandoned the building somewhere in the UK. In the caption, they mentioned that they found an entry point through an open window around the side of the house.
Neat.
Based on the state of disarray the farmhouse is in, it's clear that nobody has been maintaining it for quite some time.
It's a
The floor
beautiful
is covered in
farmhouse.
leaves and cobwebs, the shoes look dusty and unused, and there are even a couple of dead animals lying on the floor, along with some shotgun
Ooh.
shells lying on top of a bedside table.
Oh, those
The only
aren't even
clues that
used.
indicate somebody could have been at the location relatively recently are that one of the light bulbs in one of the bedrooms looks relatively new, and some of the clothes in the closet look only gently used. Based on the pictures that Chris finds on different shelves and hung up on the walls, it appears as if a family of at least 4 children used to live in the farmhouse. As the couple continues with the exploration, they walk into one of the upstairs bedrooms, where they find something very unexpected.
Oh, that's a flashlight.
Thin, narrow piece of carpet that comes all the way across. Absolutely nuts.
That's an odd place for like a dresser or something
Into
like
this
this
bedroom
hallway so
here.
narrow. Oh, there's a walker.
And wow.
Can I help you?
Oh my god. Hello.
Whoa!
You're alive.
What?
You know, man.
It's Joe!
Yeah?
No.
But we can't.
We thought it was abandoned.
They have some old lady living in that house.
When he first walked into the room, Chris didn't notice that there was someone asleep in the bed. It wasn't until
Yeah,
Meg
that
walked in
flashlight's
and made
on.
a noise that the woman sleeping in the bed woke up and
Oh
gave
my
them the
god,
scare of
look
their
at
life.
that.
Although they made a noise that the woman
Yeah, look
sleeping
at that bed. And someone was sleeping on that.
in the bed woke up and gave them the scare of their life. Although the uploaders blurred the woman's face out of respect for her privacy, it's clear that she's pretty old. During the conversation, she
God.
tells the couple that she doesn't have any family that could take her to live somewhere else less depressing. Out of sheer kindness,
Yeah,
Chris
the
and Meg
mattress
keep
is
the lady
starting to
company
go.
and try their best to understand her situation. She introduces herself as Jane, and over the next 10 minutes, they ask her questions about how she ended up living all alone in an abandoned farmhouse.
Oh, that's so
Thanks to the couple's
sad.
empathy, the initial shock of being startled by the sleeping old lady and seeing her living in such terrible conditions quickly turns into a heartwarming moment in which the three of them talk about each other's lives.
What happened was I came here to help somebody.
Okay.
And this is only for a week I'm coming.
Yeah.
And that was 1993.
Oh my
Wow,
gosh.
we've been here nearly 30 years.
That is 2 years after.
Disturbingly,
That's
Jane
30
mentioned
years.
she's been living in the abandoned farmhouse
I mean,
for
I don't know
30
what time this
years,
this
and
takes
even though
place,
Chris
but
and
like
Meg offered
that's
to
a
help
year,
her, bring her
2 years
food, and
after
buy
I
her
was
clean
born.
clothes and sheets, she seems hesitant to accept anything from them, claiming that she's fine living the way she does. She mentions that even though it's not her
Look
house,
at
the men who
that.
work at the farmhouse know she's there, and they bring her food and water every day. In a touching
I wonder if
moment
she
at the
has
end,
mental-
the couple
a
agrees
mental
with Jane to
illness.
visit her again soon. This would have been a happy ending to the story, but Chris and Meg included a caption at the end of the video that cast the situation in a more disturbing light.
Let's
The
see.
caption reads, "I did a lot of research to try and find the name of the farm and whom it was owned by. Luckily, I got the
wow.
information needed, and I even got a message from someone who knew the farmer who farms there." Chris goes on to explain that the man who reached out to him also knew that Jane was living there, and that the farmer also lives in the farmhouse with her.
Okay, I didn't give too much information away at first, but I had a lot of questions I wanted to ask. I discovered this man knew of the lady. I was told that the farm was lived in by a man and a woman. I was told that she is cared for, however, she chooses to live like that. He explained that her husband is up there constantly and that she won't accept help very easily, despite everyone's efforts, chooses to live like that. I was told she also has a brother. She must suffer from like mental illness. That's the only explanation I can think of.
According to the man, Jane is very well cared for, but she chooses to live in those terrible conditions anyway. The man also mentioned that Jane's husband is up there constantly to make sure she's okay, but she doesn't accept his help very easily, or anyone's help for that matter.
Partly glad that she was known about and had a potential husband. I was happy. However, I still didn't feel sure about the situation, so I did some more research. Although the farm is off the records on a land registry, I managed to find another property that belonged to the lady since 1986 and 2015 for the man. Unfortunately, the house looks derelict as the farm. I did notice that their surnames were very different despite being married. And if she is very, very old, having a different surname from her husband was not a common thing. So it could just be a situation where they they just never got married and just referred to each other as husband and wife.
It's worth mentioning that Jane might not have been completely truthful about her situation to Chris and Meg.
That's true too.
During their conversation, she mentioned that she didn't have anyone to care for her except for the farmer, but the man who knew the farmer told Chris that she also has a brother who tries to take care of her. Not entirely convinced by what the man told him, Chris continued digging for information and found that the farm was not on any land registry records, but there was another property to Jane's name that she owned between 1986 and 2015. After visiting the other property, Chris mentioned that it was as unkempt and beat up as the farmhouse itself. Having heard two different versions of the story from the man who contacted him and from Jane herself, he decided to contact Adult Social Services. This is the email he received from them. Good morning, thank you for your email. I can confirm that Adult Social Care are aware of this lady, however, I'm not able to provide you with any further details. We appreciate your input and the information you have provided, and thank you for raising your concerns with us.
So, I don't know how adult services work in the UK, but here, it's kind of like child protective services. Obviously, you know, they can't be living in squalor, but if they are well taken care of, if they are being fed, if they are shown to be aware of their situation, then there's not much people can do. If she is mentally ill, she could just be, you know, for lack of a better word, she could be just sane enough to where she can basically prove that she's aware of the situation and that she actively chooses to live this way. And that no one's coercing her, and as long as she is basically hydrated and fed, then she should be, you know, they can't really do anything. Or, you know, if abuse takes place as well, then they'll do something. But other than that, there's really not much you can do.
Chris then told the man who contacted him to tell Jane that he and Meg would be happy to go back and visit her if she wanted them to. After this, there were no further updates on the old woman, and we'll likely never know what became of her. The only thing we know for sure is that if someone else decides to explore the abandoned farmhouse in the future, they'll likely run into the same situation as Chris and Meg. Sadly, this type of situation is much more common than many people realize.
Yeah.
With rising prices and the overall state of the global economy, a large part of the elderly population is being forgotten. Hopefully, Jane can accept some help from her family members and live out the rest of her days in much better and healthier conditions than the one she was in when the video was uploaded. Robert Fulton Elementary is an abandoned school in a pretty rough neighborhood of Cleveland, Ohio. The building is 92 years old and has been abandoned for over 13 years. After several complaints from nearby residents who mentioned that the abandoned building was an eyesore, a potential crime hotspot, and that it was lowering the value of their properties, the mayor of Cleveland announced plans to turn the rundown old building into a high-quality, mixed-income housing unit for the community. Although the idea is still in the planning stages and the city needs more funding to complete the project, the plan is for the renovations to begin by the end of 2024. For now, Robert Fulton Elementary remains one of the creepiest abandoned schools in the country. In May of 2023, Chris Hill, again from the YouTube channel Urbex Hill, uploaded a video in which he made a second visit to the boarded-up, abandoned elementary school. The first video he made of the school was back in 2022. During his first visit, he heard strange humming, chanting, creaking, and banging noises coming from different rooms. This was part of the description in the first video.
Oh, wow.
Most sections of the building are falling apart, and the water and elements have done irreversible damage to the structure. I would not recommend anyone explore this school. You risk getting robbed or worse. With that being said, I heard weird noises and other various things during my exploration. After these incidents, the vast majority of people would have been too terrified to even think of going back, but 2 years later, Chris decided to make a second visit to the school, alone at 1 a.m.
Alone again.
The decay is crazy in here.
God, you can see the pipes and stuff like that, or is that the structure?
From the very beginning of the footage, it's clear that Robert Fulton Elementary belongs in a different category of abandoned buildings than most others.
Yeah,
what stands out the most about the building is the fact that just over a decade ago, children were learning in those classrooms, running and playing in the halls, and now it looks more like something out of a horror movie than a school.
Yeah.
The eeriness of the location, the pitch darkness, and the extreme state of decay of the building all contribute to the school's incredibly creepy atmosphere, and not a lot of people would dare go in there at night, much less alone. For a building that has only been abandoned for 13 years, Robert Fulton Elementary is in a much worse state than other buildings that have been vacant for much longer.
Yeah,
Chris
that is
doesn't
true.
seem to mind as he captures footage of the dark corridors with peeling walls and random debris lying all over the floor. As he ventures deeper into the school, Chris starts hearing strange noises, but nobody seems to be around, and he continues his exploration in the chilling silence. The underlying structure in some of the rooms on the upper floors seems extremely unstable, but Chris shows his expertise in urban exploration by avoiding the surfaces that crack under his feet. After about 15 minutes of exploring the top floors, Chris goes down into the basement, which is arguably the most deteriorated part of the school. As he explores the dark rooms, he finds some indications that other people could be living there. Interestingly, he also finds what appears to be a boiler room that's been flooded with water.
Still water, not good. That's a projector. Look at that record. I might hear him.
30-minute mark, a loud banging noise can be heard coming from one of the rooms, and it becomes very clear that Chris is not alone. As he steps into one of the classrooms, he finds a very eerie message written on the chalkboard, which reads, "Don't explore alone," as well as a paper sign on the door that reads,
ominous.
"Keep out." Despite the clear warnings, he goes inside, only to find more signs that somebody's living there. This is where Chris's visit to Robert Fulton Elementary takes a very chilling turn.
It's someone sleeping. Watch. Someone's sleeping in there. Oh. To be fair, he was
for his life after hearing a blood-curdling scream, he sprints out of the building to safety, hoping that the man wasn't following him. If you look closely at the footage, you can see the outline of the screaming man when Chris peels back the curtain to his room. Upon reviewing the footage later that night, he found something else even more unsettling. When he first walked into the building, his camera caught something that he didn't notice at the time. In the distance, a man's shadow can be seen walking into one of the rooms. It's not clear where the man went after that, but based on the strange noises Chris heard throughout his visit, it's very likely that the man was watching him all along. Although the scream was terrifying to hear, and we can only imagine what Chris must have felt at that moment, it's worth mentioning that the room he entered was probably the man's home, and from the squatter's perspective, it was probably just as terrifying to see a random man pull back the curtain to his room.
And to be fair, he did right, keep out.
Often get violent very quickly, but thankfully Chris once again made it out safely. He hasn't uploaded new footage of the location since then. This footage was uploaded in October 2019 by YouTuber Baker X Derek, a tour guide from San Bernardino, California. One day, as he was riding his motorcycle on the highway in California, he noticed an abandoned house sitting on top of a hill and decided to take a look inside. From the very beginning of the footage, it becomes clear that somebody has already been there, and that it probably wasn't the original owners of the house. Unlike many abandoned buildings, you can tell this house used to be beautiful before it was vacated, but that doesn't make it any less creepy to visit, even in the middle of the day.
Oh, heebie-jeebies, dude.
What's he breathing like that? That is a beautiful house.
I kept feeling something was gonna jump out at me. What's down here? Dude, I think I hear somebody.
And yet he goes back down.
Something.
Tactical roll.
Derek goes down to explore one of the rooms on the bottom floor, and this is where he hears a disturbing thud. Terrified, he makes a run for it and even trips and falls on his way out, but eventually he gets back on his motorcycle and flees the location. As per one of the most popular theories proposed by viewers, the noise was probably made by a homeless person who was trying to warn Derek to get out of his home. Although squatters don't spend all their time lurking in the shadows, it's common for them to use the darkness as a tool when someone comes into the building unannounced. It's a basic rule of urban exploration that if you hear a loud noise upon entering a room, you should probably leave. Sometimes squatters make a noise as a first and final warning to drive visitors away respectfully.
Yeah.
If Derek had pushed forward, he may have been attacked by whoever was hiding in the darkness. It's a natural impulse to call out and announce your presence in these kinds of situations, but squatters will very rarely answer these calls in a normal way. Nobody likes to be seen living in those conditions, and more often than not, the response will be rather aggressive and sometimes even violent. Fortunately, in this case, Derek was able to get away from the potentially dangerous situation.
Because they don't know if you're there to hurt them.
In Central Ontario, Canada, there's a small community south of Port Elgin known as North Bruce. To the locals, however, it's known as the Devil's Elbow. According to John, the urban explorer who uploaded this video, the reason for the name was that there was once an occult high priest who lived in the mansion at a cul-de-sac, in which the townspeople used to think there was paranormal activity and occult rituals the priest used to perform in his home. The mansion has since been abandoned, and as of today, nobody wants to buy it or live in it due to its chilling atmosphere and sketchy past.
Oh god, this must be so
According to
cheap.
John, some renovations have been made sporadically since the house was vacated, but as of the video's upload, the house was still abandoned. In 2019, John set out to explore the occult mansion alone at night, but things didn't go exactly as he planned. In comparison to other abandoned buildings, the mansion seems to be in relatively good shape, except for the garage, which has clearly seen better days.
It looks
About
like it was
5
being
minutes into
worked
the
on.
exploration, John starts to hear strange noises upstairs, but they seem to quiet down as soon as he climbs the set of stairs.
Okay, guys, I think I've been hearing stuff upstairs, but I'm hoping, and I mean this, I really hope that it's paranormal.
Oh my gosh.
Not someone freaking in here. My keys are making noises. Freaking somebody down there, dude. Come on, quit messing with me. I'm just trying to freaking. I'll leave. There's somebody else in here.
And then he keeps going.
Oh, jeez.
Disturbingly, as he walks around upstairs, the noises can be heard again, even louder this time, leading John to think that perhaps someone else is in there messing with him. Although he mentions loudly to whoever is in there with him that his only intention is to explore and that he doesn't want to bother anyone, whoever was making the noise doesn't respond and continues hiding. The noises stop for a couple minutes, but then something terrifying happens.
Explore it off. Oh my god. Hello?
They turn the lights on. Of course there's someone there.
I'm not here to bother or rob anything. I was just here exploring. I thought it was a bad.
Why would you talk to him? Why? Why?
Disturbingly, a man's voice can be heard screaming, "I'm gonna kill you." And
The
before
light is
catching a
literally-
glimpse
he
of
turned
who
the
it
light
is,
on.
John runs out of the mansion immediately and doesn't look back until he's a safe distance away from the building.
Dude, the light, the guy turned the light on. He turned the light on, and he's just like, oh, that is my opportunity to just talk to this person. Hello, I'm not here to rob you or anything. Why? The light on should have been your clue. Now I know why horror movies have that trope.
It's unknown who was in the house or how long they had been watching him, or even if they had bad intentions or were just messing with him. According to several viewers, it's very unlikely that the other person in the house was another explorer.
No.
In the urban exploration community, people usually help each other out, and there's a sort of code that every explorer sticks to in order to help keep creepy locations as safe to visit as possible. If the other person in the house was another explorer, making noises in an abandoned house and screaming, "I'm going to kill you," would obviously be very out of the ordinary. That leaves the question of who could have screamed at John. It's more than likely that it was just a homeless person who didn't want any visitors, but because John ran out before he could see anyone, this much will probably remain unknown forever.
Like, that's what gets me about it, is like, these people will go, like, by themselves to these things, and then like, hello, is anyone there? Can you hear me? Like, they'll hear a noise, and yeah, and they'll like try to talk to that person. When you start hearing noises, that's your cue to leave. Not ask who that person is, or when you see someone else in there, like that dude from the first clip. It's like, when you see someone else in there, this isn't your opportunity to go, hello, do you need help? No, you leave. And if they need help, you call the cops, because you don't know if that's a setup or not. Ugh.
Jared Coker Urbex is a small YouTube channel where the uploader posts raw footage of his explorations of abandoned locations all over the US. Since 2020, Jared has uploaded over 200 videos of some pretty cool Urbex footage. In March 2022, Jared uploaded a video where he explored an abandoned dog treat manufacturing factory in Wichita, Kansas. For the first few minutes of the video, the exploration is pretty uneventful, and except for the usual couple of strange thuds and bangs that can be heard nearby, it seems like Jared's alone. Even though it's relatively common for homeless people to hide out in abandoned buildings, it doesn't seem like anyone was squatting in the factory that day. After exploring the multiple floors of the building in detail, Jared looks out the window and sees a red car pulling up to the factory and start making its way through the gates.
Is it another person?
I can't see him.
Is it another exploration person?
I really do gotta get out of here now.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
After it becomes obvious that the man in the red car has plans to enter the factory, Jared does the only reasonable thing in a situation like that and tries to find a way out of the building without being noticed. Unfortunately, the car goes around the building and out of his field of vision, which means that by the time the car is parked in front of the factory, the man could be anywhere.
And he looked like an older man too, so I don't think he was an
Someone's
explorer.
right up there.
It might be the owner of the building.
What do I do?
You leave.
I couldn't tell what he was holding.
They could have cameras and the
The
owner
man
saw
can be
someone
seen
in
walking
there.
through the woods toward the front entrance of the factory. To make matters much, much worse, it appears as though the man has something in his hands, and from a distance, it's impossible to tell whether it's something as simple as a flashlight or a potential weapon.
Oh my god. Was that a gunshot? I think it
Mob
was.
hit. It
He had
wasn't a
something in his
gunshot.
hand, too. It must have been a gun.
That's not a gunshot.
Over the next few minutes, Jared does
Yeah,
his
what is it?
He had something in his hand. I think it was a gunshot. Oh my.
potential weapon.
No, that's not a gunshot.
Oh my god.
A gunshot, the best way I can describe it,
Is that a
sounds more like a
gunshot?
burst. Like a kind of
I
thing.
think it was.
That's not a gunshot.
He had something in his hand too. It
That's-
must have been a gun.
He was either moving something heavy and it fell, or something else. That wasn't a gunshot.
Over the next few minutes, Jared does his best to find a way out undetected, which is much easier said than done when you have no idea where a potentially armed man who probably
Helpless.
knows the layout of the building much better than you do is hiding. And just when it seemed like Jared was going to make it out undetected, this happens.
Whoa, whoa.
Right there.
Whoa.
Who else is with you?
Oh, it's just me. You scared me to death.
Okay. Get over there.
Oh, he has a gun.
What?
Sit down. Give you handcuffs.
Huh?
Put them on. Got it?
Okay.
You like to
he-
put them on, you can put them on. Take your pick.
Oh, is he a
I've never
cop?
put on handcuffs before.
Just put them on each side of you. How's that?
But the cop wouldn't
Put 'em
do
inside
that.
you, that way
He
you
might
turn
be a
in front,
security
okay?
guard.
What happened?
What's going to happen is the police is going to come, and then you take your name and they'll get you for criminal trespassing. It's nothing these days.
So he's a security
That's why they're
guard.
shooting you, isn't it?
Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
What'd you shoot at?
Shoot it. See people, I shoot at them. If they run, you shoot. There you go.
Yeah.
Be cool. Nothing will happen, okay?
Alright.
But that didn't sound like a gunshot.
It's all right. I'm not gonna shoot you.
Oh my god. So it's a security guard.
She said something says a use of deadly force. What do you think that is?
I thought that was kids spray paint.
No, that's me telling you I'll shoot you.
So that's
Somebody else
probably...
with- right.
No, it's just me.
Okay. If I see somebody, I'm gonna end up probably shooting them.
Oh no, if I
Okay.
were with someone. and
It's
I know you
weird
shoot
that he
people,
keeps
I would
talking about
drop
shooting
you.
them, though. I will say that that's the freaky
I
part.
just don't want, they say wait, they scare me, I'll shoot in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Just like.
The man, who appears to be an armed vigilante of some sort, pops out of the bushes just as Jared is about to leave and holds
He's
him
probably a
hostage,
security
even ordering
guard.
him to put on a pair of handcuffs. During the exchange, it's hard to tell if the man is in his right mind, which makes the fact that he's carrying a fully equipped assault rifle that much more disturbing.
Oh
At
no,
one
he
point
did
in the
not
conversation,
shoot a
the man
fire. He
orders
did not
Jared to get
shoot
into
in.
his
If
car,
that's an
and
assault
at that
rifle,
point, Jared doesn't really have a choice.
What we're gonna do is we'll throw your camera and your bag in the trunk, okay? I'll put my gun in
no,
there, too.
Jared, don't do it.
All right. We'll get in a little red car. Let's drive up here.
Oh my
Get
god.
out. Police will come. They'll ask you for your driver's license. And they'll give you a little ticket.
Although Jared didn't record the part where he got into the car out of fear that the man would freak out if he realized he was being recorded, the YouTuber later explained that the cops took an hour and a half to get there.
Oh my god.
Disturbingly, when the cops finally arrived and while they were all talking, they saw two kids go up to the factory the same way Jared had, at which point the man looked the cops dead in the eye and said that if he saw the kids inside the factory, he was going to shoot them.
Oh my god.
Unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. As Jared was being taken to the police station for trespassing, the cops got a report that two kids had been shot at the factory. Thankfully, it turned out that the man was bluffing with his weapon, which was only loaded with non-lethal pellets. But still, the kids
That's
had to be
probably
taken
what
to the
it
hospital
is.
to be treated for their wounds. During the investigation, the man was identified as 62-year-old Ken Thomas, and even after shooting at the two kids, he was only sentenced to 2 years probation. Since that day, Jared hasn't gone back to the abandoned factory again.
Now, if that was his property, I can kind of understand that. But if he's a security guard or something like that, that's kind of overkill. I mean, I agree with Jared. You know, I was like, I wouldn't have gotten into the car. I would have just said, let's just walk up there and wait. But that tells me that he watches that building, because he watched him go into that building, and the fact that the cops really didn't. The cops might have known that the rounds weren't lethal, and that's why they didn't do anything. Because if he doesn't own the building, or if he's not, it's like a security guard, why would he? Why would he care? I don't think he's a vigilante. He either owns the property or he works for whoever owns the property. Because that's a weird thing. But the fact that the cops were just like, you know, he was like, okay, if I see him, I'm gonna shoot him. The cops had to have known he didn't have any kind of like lethal weaponry.
In 2019, a group of 5 real estate investors walked into a distressed property in the Angora neighborhood of southwest Philadelphia.
Ooh.
The visit to the distressed house started out pretty ordinarily, but a few minutes in, just as one of the investors was about to walk up the staircase leading to the second floor, they noticed something extremely disturbing.
Look at this booby trap right here.
Look, booby trap.
Look, right, that goes up. Look at the nail over there. Knife system. Oh my god. Yeah, that killed somebody, bro. Look what's there, the knife.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you see the wire? You don't see the knife up there? Right here, you see this wire going over here?
See this wire going over here?
It's going right through your heart. It's on a crutch with a knife. How'd you catch that?
Oh my god.
Based on what the investors are saying, there appears to be some sort of booby trap system built into the staircase.
Yeah, you see
Had
the
any
wire?
of them followed through with walking up this booby trap system built
Yeah,
into
right
the
here.
staircase. Had any of them followed
my
through
God.
with walking up the staircase, a seemingly innocent house walkthrough could have turned bad very quickly. After analyzing the booby trap for a few minutes, they decided to activate it to see what would have happened to the investor if he had continued climbing the flight of stairs.
Alright, here, you got it? Yeah. Send this. Look at where you tripping. Stop at the top. The step. You think?
Yeah, you see it.
At the step. Who?
Oh my gosh.
Look at that. Yo, that. Right.
Yeah, that would have.
No, hold on. You need to stop more. You need to step over. Yo, that would have got you right in your neck. Oh my god, right in his head.
Oh my god.
Disturbingly,
With the delay, it
knife comes down
probably
right
would have
at the
been
level of
right
the
at
investor's
his
neck as soon as the wire
wire.
is activated. It's hard to imagine what kind of
Stepping on it
psychopath
in the
would booby
delay,
trap a
how it
house
was like
that,
just
knowing
split
that whoever
second.
walked up
Yeah.
that flight of stairs probably wouldn't live to tell the tale. Even though the
Holy
trap was built in a
shit.
very do-it-yourself kind of way with a rusted
That's
knife,
still not
some
good.
duct tape,
That's
some
still
wire, and a
deadly.
crutch, the speed at which the knife was designed to come down right at neck level obviously means that whoever built it wasn't playing around and meant to do
Yeah.
some serious damage. In the interview with NBC, the investor who recorded the whole thing mentioned that he was used to finding some pretty strange things in the distressed houses he often renovates. But even though he was no stranger to abandoned dogs, homeless people squatting, and drug houses with bags and scales, he had never been this close to losing his life, much less to a booby-trapped house.
That is
Shockingly,
absolutely
even after what
insane.
happened, the investors still went on to explore the rest of the house, buy it, and renovate it. Fortunately, they didn't run into any more traps along the way. Finders Beepers History Seekers is a YouTube channel where urban explorers Matt and Andy document their visits to hundreds of abandoned locations around the world. What's funny about this channel is they always bring their dog Bear with them on their explorations, setting him up with his own GoPro camera to capture footage they might otherwise miss. In March 2023, they uploaded footage of their visit to an abandoned house in the UK. Throughout their first few minutes of their exploration, Matt and Andy come across all kinds of old history books, kitchen utensils, and other abandoned objects, but for the most part, nothing too out of the ordinary. About 25 minutes into the visit, as Matt and Andy are sorting through dozens of history books lying around the house, this happens.
And then that's... Why's that got a lock on it there for a bathroom cabinet? That makes no sense at all. Bear, you're just causing so much bother. Did you hear that? Someone has definitely just run down those stairs.
Bear, no, come back.
Hello?
No, don't say hello.
Hello?
No, don't check
Hello?
it.
Hello? We're not secure. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to hurt you. We're urban explorers. Just having a look round.
Leave.
Hello?
nice tea kettles, though.
I'm gonna have to watch it back. That was definitely somebody running down the stairs. 100% that was someone running down the stairs.
Pretty much as soon as they go up to the second floor bedroom, they hear what sounds like someone or something running down the stairs. It's pretty disturbing to think that someone could have been watching them the whole time, but despite their best efforts, they weren't able to find whoever it was. That's when they decided to review the GoPro footage on their dog Bear to see if it showed anything. And a bit before they heard footsteps running down the stairs, his camera did this.
That was someone's hand. Yeah, that's someone. And oh, that's freaky. It might have been another explorer, though, to tell you the truth. If they were hiding, because those clothes look nice.
Disturbingly, there was someone hiding under the bed in the second floor bedroom. Even though it's hard to see everything clearly with the dog footage, it's pretty obvious that it was a person hiding under the bed. After the encounter, Matt and Andy continued exploring the house for another 20 minutes. And they confessed to feeling pretty on edge after leaving. To this day, they still don't know who was hiding under the bed. It's pretty likely that the guy under the bed was just a squatter who was probably more scared of them and left the house in a hurry to get some privacy. But
no,
still,
I think it was
must have been
another urban
incredibly chilling to
explorer.
review the footage and realize they were never alone.
That is freaky, I'm not even gonna lie.
Exploration Unknown is a YouTube channel owned by a guy named John who's uploaded countless videos of his urban exploration since 2016.
Excuse me.
In March 2019, John and another YouTuber explored an abandoned house where a woman had reportedly taken her life years after the death of her child. Just a few minutes into the video, it becomes pretty clear that the structure of the building is extremely unstable.
That floor is gone right there. That's a
Floor's
deep
gone
drop.
right there.
These floors are not very stable.
Hear it?
Yeah.
Don't go stepping.
You guys check out that fireplace.
If that falls, dude, I don't know what it's going to do to the rest of this house.
Yeah, I know, because that's a load-bearing wall out there.
So
That's going to be a lot of weight to hit this floor.
it's gonna fall
I'm
in.
really nervous about that right there.
Then leave.
Yeah, look at the ceiling.
We need to get out of here before that happens.
What?
When it comes to urbex, a lot of people will talk about the risks of running into a hostile squatter, a rabid stray dog, or the cops. But one of the biggest risks when exploring unstable structures like these is falling through the floor or having the entire building collapse on you.
Yeah,
leaving you trapped under
that
tons
ceiling
and tons
is
of rubble.
dipped, like
Before John and
bad.
Tim even get the chance to explore the rest of the house, something pretty scary that serves as a reminder of the dangers of urban exploration happens to John.
Alright, guys, I think we've decided to chance it. What do you think?
No!
Think we talked about it?
He's gonna fall through
It
the
hasn't
floor.
moved anymore.
Let's just stay away from that area.
Yes.
Let's go back here to the room where the wife. You didn't fall through the floor, did you?
No, but it cracked a little.
Oh man, there's a crib in here.
Leave.
Oh, shoot.
He fell through the floor.
Yeah. Well, I just fell through the floor.
Leave.
Ow.
You alright, man?
Oh,
We need to go.
we gotta get out of here.
By the time
my
John realized the
gosh.
floor was cracking, it was already too late.
No, he
Luckily,
heard the
was able
floor
to shift all
cracking.
his weight onto his other leg before he fell entirely through. Otherwise, he would have plummeted at least 10 feet into the basement below.
Oh my
Obviously, after that
gosh.
close call, the pair of explorers decided to call it a night and carefully treaded their way out of the house and back to the car. Since that incident, John has continued to upload videos pretty frequently to his channel, but he hasn't gone back to that house since.
No, I bet not.
TP
Oh my
Urbex
God.
is a channel dedicated 100% to urban exploration, and even though it's only been active for a little over a year, it's already grown to over 350,000 subscribers. In January 2024, a video was uploaded to the channel featuring two young urban explorers visiting an abandoned high school. From my research, the school that was featured in the
Jeez.
video was William A. Wirt High School in Gary, Indiana, located less than a mile from Lake Michigan. Even though the abandoned building is in absolutely terrible condition in the footage, it's still clear that back in the day it was probably a nice school. Out of the entire
yeah, that is
school,
a
the
nice
auditorium
school.
seems to be in the best condition, with the bright red seats serving as a nostalgic reminder of what the school used to look like before it was closed. As the teens are walking through the aisles, they catch a glimpse of a man holding a metal pipe staring them down near the auditorium entrance.
Looks like some kids got in here and were
Yeah.
throwing some stuff from the balcony area.
Oh, hey, what's up, man?
Is he by himself?
You want us to get on out of here? Hey, we'll leave, bro. We'll leave.
No, no, there. Oh, he's dragging the pipe.
Just get out anyway. This way, right here. You sure?
Oh, that is terrifying. Again, always have a weapon.
The man with the pipe started chasing them out of the building, but stopped when they got outside. It's pretty disturbing how the guy never even speaks to the teenagers. He just starts chasing them with a metal pipe that he probably planned to use as a makeshift weapon. When this kind of stuff happens, you really have to put yourself in the shoes of everyone involved. I mean, the guy who chased them out, like usual, was probably a homeless guy who had been squatting at the school for a while.
He was probably
In his
trying to
eyes,
scare
the
them out.
abandoned, decrepit building is his home, and having two teenagers come in unannounced to disturb your peace when you have nowhere else to go must be pretty irritating. But for the explorers who just want to have some fun in an old building, getting chased out by someone who's armed and probably not in their right mind is also a terrifying experience. In September 2020, John and Tim from Exploration Unknown uploaded a video where they documented their visit to an abandoned altar in the middle of the woods. From the very start of the visit, some red flags.
Okay. I'm white, but I'm not that white. Okay? If you find an abandoned altar in the woods, you don't go to it. You see it and you leave. You leave. What was it? The clip of the woman that found something in Appalachia and then took it and was like, I don't know what this means. And a video of, you don't know what you took. You don't know what it means. Put it back. That, I mean, that's the same sentiment. You find an altar in the woods. Why would you go to it? That's how you get sacrificed in cults.
Flags came up that John and Tim should probably have taken as invitations to leave.
Oh my gosh.
Where are we?
And they're on private property.
Supposed to be public land.
This is private property, bro.
Well, maybe it's like this over here, somebody's private property. And I know this over here should be like public land.
It might be a deterrent.
After seeing the sign, it's unclear if the two explorers are on a private or a public road. But a couple of minutes later, after following the directions they were given, they got their answer.
So they were given these directions. Someone gave this to them.
Shh. Key out.
Oh my God, dude, it's car. Did he just call him Dookie?
Dude, they were waiting. Somebody's here. Shh. Get down.
They know you're there, dude.
Get out here.
Yeah, they were set up.
You shut that engine off.
They were set up.
Oh God, they're getting out.
Is he gonna talk to him?
Hey, that's in your damn lights, sir. Get off my property.
He's got a gun. Okay, we
just leave. I see your damn lights out there. Get off my property.
Go.
Just be like,
oh God, Tim, you okay? Tim, you okay? Get up, dude, come on. Get up.
Oh my.
Are you hit? Oh God, run.
Oh my God.
Okay.
After getting out of his car, a man who was usually assumed to be the property owner points his gun at the uploader and his friend and tells them to get off his property. This is one of those situations that you just never want to be in, because on the one hand, if you yell something out to try to calm the guy down, you signal your location to someone with a deadly weapon who may or may not be in his right mind. But on the other hand, if you don't signal your location, the property owner might feel threatened. As
all you gotta do is say, we're leaving, and then you leave.
And initially it looked like Tim fell to the ground from being shot at. But it seems like he just tripped either by something on the ground or by being startled by the sound of the gunshot. Fortunately, Tim and John were able to get out of those woods unscathed, and they never went back again.
I bet they did. They were set up.
His intel about the supposed abandoned altar in the middle of the woods, but it was clearly faulty.
This is an abandoned.
It's a good thing he was able to spot the guy in the car ahead of time.
Okay, I think that's enough of these videos for the day. What we learned from this, everyone, is don't go into an abandoned building by yourself. And if you do go into an abandoned building, bring a weapon. But yeah, that was actually pretty fun and pretty interesting. Like I said, it was something that I went down a rabbit hole and I truly enjoyed it. Well, I hope everyone has a good day and yeah, have a happy weekend. I will see you guys on Monday. Bye.